Hello there. Before you watch this video, it would be a good idea to view my earlier related videos titled Watercolor Washes Part 1 and Part 2. So if you have seen Part 1 and 2, we will learn some more basic washes in watercolors today. As probably you know, watercolors are generally used in this manner. A color from the well is transferred onto the mixing chamber with some water and mixed thoroughly with the help of a brush, and then say for example I just make a kind of a shape, a triangle sitting on top of a square. Now if I quickly fill this outline before the color dries, this action is known as blocking in. Block in means you fill the color into the pre-decided diagram or an outline. So this is called blocking in. Now supposing supposing if I take a layer of water, I just apply some water here and pick up any color or colors and just drop them. What will happen? The colors will bleed into the water. See the green, the yellow, and maybe the blue. So if I drop colors in a layer of water, this is called wet in wet. The same way, if I make use of a layer of color and I decide to drop some colors in that wet layer of color, this also would be called wet in wet. So the colors melt into one another and create some wonderful patterns. So this too is called wet in wet or wet on wet. Now if I take a brush load of color, say for example if I take heavy color with less water, I hold the brush a little horizontal, lying on the surface of the paper, and I give some strokes which enables the color to break or crack on the paper. This is called dry brushing. This action is called dry brushing. Very often dry brushing becomes useful to make some interesting things in watercolors. Say for example, trees in breeze can be indicated this way. So if you want to show a tree in breeze in a simple way, a dry brush stroke with a bent tree trunk would become something very interesting to make. Then one more is line drawing. Line drawing is nothing but simply taking some color on the tip of the brush and drawing some lines holding the brush perpendicular. Now if you press the brush and drag the brush, it will give you thicker lines. If you press the brush still more, it may give you a band. And if you press the brush, or rather not press the brush but hold the brush vertical and drag the brush all along with some good amount of paint on it, you will produce lines which are thin or very thin. You may use a liner brush, say 3-number brush for this type of an action. Now lastly, if you wet the brush in clean water and to a dried layer of paint, if you apply the water, plain water, the color seems to melt away. And with the help of your fingers, if you pull the residue off and press it over the color, you are able to lift off that color. This wash or technique would be called lifting off color. So the more I press and remove the water out of the brush and lift off more and more paint, I can get back a good amount of the whiteness of the paper. On no account can I get back the pure white of the paper, as you can see here. Lifting off will help you to get back some amount of the whiteness of the paper. Very often lifting off would be a useful technique to do some minor corrections during your watercolors. And at times it may even become a way of creating something interesting. Say for example, I have created an entrance here in the house. Now one more is called glazing. Now glazing is when a dried layer of color, say for example this yellow color which is completely dry, is now crossed over with the help of a brush stroke. You will create a third color in between. This process is called glazing. Glazing means allowing a wet layer of color on top of a dried layer of color, and in many occasions a third color is generated. Say for example the blue runs over the dried yellow, producing the green. So these are some of the more interesting washes. So if you have liked this video, please press the like button and share it with your friends and groups, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very, very much.